Folks, don't y'all know a hit dog will holler? Well, that's Texas Republicans, as the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is angry, upset, saying he is going to go after Democrats, jail them, fine them, try to kick them out of office because 51 Democrats have fled the state, went to Illinois, because that keeps the Republicans from having a quorum in the House and stopping them from passing racist gerrymandered maps. Now remember, Donald Trump told Texas, I need 5 seats. Go get me 5 seats. So as a result, they said, okay, we're going to redraw congressional maps in the middle of the decade. Now, normally this happens once every 10 years. Now, they drew the maps in 2021. They were Republican maps in 2021. They then said, oh no, race had no factor in any of this. Race had nothing to do with the maps that we drew. Donald Trump then has his Department of Justice send a BS letter claiming that these are unconstitutional racist maps. So Texas goes, okay, that's the justification for Greg Abbott calling a special session in order to change the maps. But here's the problem, y'all. See, political gerrymandering, Supreme Court says that's allowed. States have jurisdiction. Now, the state Supreme Courts can overrule political gerrymandering. But racist gerrymandering, that's still against the federal law. And the Supreme Court has actually ruled against racist gerrymandering. So Texas goes, okay, hold up. We need to switch this thing up. So no. So we're not redrawing maps because of the letter from the DOJ. We're redrawing the maps to gain political power. That's partisan gerrymandering. But you're actually doing it because the pretext was the letter from the DOJ. And then they didn't even want to call in the DOJ folks to come and explain why they called it unconstitutional. In fact, just last month, Texas was actually defending the maps in court, saying they weren't based upon race. Here's Greg Abbott on Fox News.
Abbott joins us now. Thank you so much. Can you tell us from your perspective, what is the issue? Why did they leave?
So they're leaving, and they've left because they're very un-Texan. Texans don't run from a fight, and there's a fight going on in the legislature right now about redistricting as well as other things. But I'll make 2 quick points, Dana, about this. For one, to run to states like New York and Illinois to protest redistricting is kind of like running to Wisconsin to protest cheese. It's just kind of outrageous. Those are New York and Illinois are 2 hallmark states that have already done redistricting to eliminate Republicans. But the second thing is far more serious, and that is what these Democrats have done. Just a small fraction of them were needed to break a quorum, and that small fraction is holding hostage legislation in the state of Texas where we will be able to provide assistance and reform for all of the victims of that horrific flooding that we've had in the state of Texas. Our fellow Texans are being let down and not getting the flood relief they need because these Democrats have absconded from the responsibility, and I believe they have forfeited their seats in the state legislature because they are not doing the job they were elected to do.
Governor.
So they left, and you're saying Texans are not getting the flood relief they deserve. 130 people died as a result of floods. So please explain to me, Greg, why did you make redistricting, racist redistricting, the priority and not flood relief? Do y'all see how the story just got? Let's switch it. One of the state reps joins us right now, Charlene Johnson, along with Cliff Albright, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Representative Johnson, I want to start with you. Let's just be abundantly clear with here. You don't have to say it, I will. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is full of shit. That's what he is, okay? The Republicans are doing this because Donald Trump ordered them to. And if Greg Abbott had any guts, if Greg Abbott had a spine, he would have told Trump, hey, you my man, but go sit your ass down. We drew the maps. Race wasn't a factor, so we're going to reject your argument with this DOJ letter. Everything you're seeing, the pretext of this was the letter. But here's what's so stupid, Representative Johnson. If they just never sent the letter and just did it for political reasons, it would make sense. But they are specifically targeting 4 black members of Congress and Latino. These are racist maps with racist intent. And what they don't want I wore the color of change shirt, voting while black.
Right. Right. You're exactly right, Roland Martin. Thank you for having me on. And the seats that they picked out, they were not just picked out randomly. They were picked out on purpose because those 4 seats represent minority districts, but they also represent people who have spoken out against Trump. Al Green always calls out Trump. Mark Vesey, Sylvia Garcia, these are Democratic seats that they went after. So you mean to tell me that these are the only seats that you could pick out? As diverse as Texas is, we need to have more representation of color in D.C. So what this is, Greg Abbott calling us, that we left our jobs. We were the ones who were fighting for the flood, the flood issue, the flood bills. He didn't bring this up until after we left. His priority was to do this map. We've been down there 2 weeks, and we have not discussed maps on that House floor. We've only had the hearings for the maps, that they wouldn't even show the maps to the people who were coming until after they had a public hearing. Now, how shady is that?
Right. So they wouldn't show the maps. And again, now they're trying to sit here and flip it. Y'all get the video ready of the leader of the committee who was trying to say, oh, no, this is about, Trump won these districts and this is about the map according to how he won. And we should be rewarding the folks. That's not it. We should be rewarding the folks. He should be rewarding that. No, what you're doing is you're screwing the people because 61% of Texas is minority. Yet 61% of the folks who vote are white, and what the Republicans in Texas want, they want more white Republican representation in Congress. They do not want to see people of color represented in Congress.
Exactly. Trump is afraid of the blue wave in 2026. So he wants to try to cheat his way to not lose his power in the House by asking Texas to give him more seats. Now, he's just going to come and ask for it. Instead of Governor Abbott saying, no, we need to focus on the families who had lost loved ones in the flooding. No, he bowed down to Trump and he just handed us over to him. So don't say that we didn't do our job when he failed to do his job to protect Texas from President Trump.
Cliff, I want to bring you in here, and I need people to understand, Cliff, this is a direct attack on black people. Texas has the most eligible black voters of any state in America. This is white conservative Republicans saying, we do not want black people in Texas to have fair representation in Congress.
You're absolutely right, Roland. And first, let me just say to Representative Johnson and to all the other, reps, thank you. Thank you for showing the kind of fight that, black folks across this country, progressives have been wanting to see at the national level. And so thank y'all so much. We're pleased to have supported the Texas Dems when they did this back in 2021 over voting rights. At that time, they were right then and they're right now. They were courageous then and they're courageous now. So, yes, this is definitely an attack against black voters. Just as much as it's an attack against black representatives. We saw this back in 2022. Part of what they're hoping on is they know that this isn't legal, but they hope that they can do it and just make it happen in 2026 before all the litigation and court cases takes effect. That's what happened in 2022. What happened when Congress shifted? It was because of gerrymandering that took place in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Georgia, in Florida. That's what made up that difference, that 4 or 5 seat difference back in 22. It was strictly off of racist gerrymandering. They're trying to do the same thing. Even if it doesn't last past 26, they know that the damage would be done. And then once you get somebody in there, it's hard to get them out.
Well, and let's unpack that, because what people don't understand is we had Tarrant County Commissioner Lisa Simmons on last week. So first of all, the filing deadline is in December for the March primary. And so if they're able to pass these maps, the court case is not going to happen in 3 or 4 months. And so the Supreme Court has a rule that, you got to have a certain amount of time to allow voters to prepare for the election. And so what Texas wants to do, Texas wants to pass these maps. Now they become the new maps. Lawsuit is filed. Filing deadline for the new maps is in December. So the primary in March and the general election in 2026 is based upon the new maps, not the old maps, locking in 5 new members. And then you're going to have litigation. Those maps could very well stay in place for the 2028 midterm elections. And so let's just say the Supreme Court overrules Texas, then the old maps or newly redrawn maps are not in effect until 2030. Representative Johnson, that is their strategy.
Exactly. Call it what it is. It's a power grab. It's a power grab for Trump to take over power of the Congress, of both the House and the Senate, but he really wants the House. This is a racial attack on Black and brown voters and representation. He is afraid because he knows that his approval level is in the trash. It's going down further and further down because people are realizing that he did not keep his promises. He did not reduce the cost of eggs. He did not reduce the debt. He did not keep his promises. Therefore, he should not keep his job. But he wants to come to Texas to do a power grab, an attack on Black and brown. We are tired of it. We are saying we are sick and tired of it. We are sick of the attack of our people, and we just not do anything about it. So we had to fight. The best way we knew how is to do a quorum break and not give them the opportunity to vote that map in. We were ready to fight. We were ready to stick together. But
here's the key right here, Cliff, and people watching need to understand. The proper language must be used. It's actually a mistake. So for the purpose of the lawsuit, Democrats should not actually call it a power grab, should not call us in partisan gerrymandering. They have to specifically say this is racist gerrymandering, because when the lawsuit is filed, then they're going to enter into evidence that was the point, which is why State Representative Yolanda Jones, when she was on the redistricting committee, which she actually resigned from, they told people testifying they couldn't take sides. So people were commenting on a process, never seeing the maps, because they wanted there to be non-racial language discussed. So when the lawsuit is filed, they can say, well, the people testified, but race was never brought up.
Exactly. It never was a fair process. And you're right. We have to call it what it is. It's a racial attack. It's racial mandering. That's what it is.
Cliff, speak on that. And Cliff, for the purpose of people understanding, y'all have filed numerous lawsuits. So explain why the language must be proper, because when you file the lawsuit, it's going to be based upon the reasons for the lawsuit.
Yeah, that's right. Many a case has been lost, not so much because the case didn't have merit, but because the way it was framed, because the language that was used or the issue that was raised simply wasn't the right issue, especially when you're dealing for court like this Supreme Court that we know isn't legitimate, that is looking for any reason to throw out any of our lawsuits against the racist gerrymandering. And so, I know that our friends that are, I'm sure that's going to be on this, folks like Legal Defense Fund and others, they're going to get it right. They just have to have like the ammunition, the backup, the evidence and the testimony. But at the end of the day, part of that testimony is going to be this. Part of the reason that we know this is so racist is that you pointed out the hypocrisy of Abbott a little bit earlier on. Here he is talking about, we can't leave these seats vacant, right? They abandoning their posts. This is the same Abbott that has left District 18, right, after the death of Sylvester Turner, that has left that vacant. So clearly he's not in a rush to fill seats, because that's a seat that should have been filled. But what's the commonality between that seat and these seats that they're targeting? Again, Black representation and Black voters. It's all racist.
And so, again, and I need everybody watching, again, please listen. The language you use is critically important. Now, I need y'all to see how they're trying now to flip it. Let me say it again. The Trump Department of Justice, that idiot Dylan, or whatever her name is, this all started because they sent, and actually, truth be told, they kind of screwed up, but not necessarily. So here's what they did. I need to unpack it for y'all. They sent a letter saying your seats are unconstitutional. They were drawn based upon race. Texas Republicans are on record by saying they were not drawn based upon race. Then they go special session. Then they flip it to, oh no, it's about power. Here's the chairman of the committee Listen to what he says, because he's trying to now run from the race aspect. Listen.
I've seen no evidence that this was racially drawn. This is a political performance map. I haven't looked at those. The question I had when I looked at this and I was evaluating it myself was, does this improve the political performance of Republicans in Texas, which is where we have been trending, and what we need to do to respond nationally. This is not just a Texas issue. It's a nationwide issue. It's perhaps one of the biggest issues that we're taking up. And when we've seen all of these blue states overperform with their maps and Texas is underperforming, that puts Republicans at a distinct disadvantage nationwide, and it's right for Texas to step up. So I have not seen any evidence that this map was racially based. What I have seen is evidence that this map was politically based, and that's totally legal, totally allowed, and totally fair.
So, to be
Guys, what are you doing? Go back to the video. Thank you.
As a pretense to kick off this process, you're saying this was about politics. This is about political power.
I disagree with the assumption that this process had anything to do with the DOJ letter. Yeah, they sent a letter, but as you know, the proclamation called us in to do congressional redistricting. And we did congressional redistricting when we passed HB 4 based off of political performance. So, frankly, don't care what the DOJ letter said. And I think it's pretty clear that no one does on the prevailing side of this bill. So this bill was not based off of that DOJ letter. This bill was based off of improving political performance.
Tim Johnson, that's absolute total bullshit. This all started based on the letter.
The letter, because no constituent asked for that. The letter is what started this process, and Department of Justice is run by Trump. So yes, that is absolutely a false statement that he made. This is definitely based on the Department of Justice letter, and it's definitely based on race. They said it in the letter. They can say what they want on that press conference.
And here's what's crazy. This right here, Cliff, this is the proclamation issued by the governor. Legislation proposing a constitutional amendment allowing the Attorney General to prosecute state election crimes. Legislation that provides a revised congressional redistricting plan in light of constitutional concerns raised by the Department of Justice. The governor, in declaring the call for a special session, cites the letter. Now the committee chair is like, yeah, letter ain't had nothing to do with this. It's literally the reason why the governor called the special session.
Exactly. Right. Black and white.
Yeah. Everything they say and do is a lie, and and they act like we're not in the age where there's things in writings, there's things in photographs, there's videos like the video that you just showed, and so they just expect that they just go into court and just be able to lie. But again, part of why they're doing this is because they're counting on some illegitimate court at some point. Maybe it's a Judge Eileen Cannon. It's not going to be her. I don't think this is her district, but maybe it's another judge like that, right? But maybe it's a judge like what's the name that just got approved, Pirro from Fox TV. Maybe it's the corrupt Supreme Court. They know they don't have the law on their side. They know that it's racist. They know that there's all this stuff that contradicts them. But they're still going to try to get away with it.
And again, I just want everybody to understand, right here, look at the date, top left corner, July 9th, 2025. See right here, in testimony whereof, I have hereunto signed my name and have officially caused the seal of the state of Texas to be affixed at my office in the city of Austin, Texas, this the 9th day of July, 2025, Greg Abbott. That was on July 9th. What happened on July 7th? Right here, U.S. Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division, a letter to Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton says, RE, unconstitutional race-based congressional districts. This letter will serve as formal notice by the Department of Justice to the state of Texas of serious concerns regarding the legality of 4 of Texas' congressional districts. As stated below, congressional districts 9, 18, 29, and 33 currently constitute unconstitutional coalition districts, and we urge the state of Texas to rectify these race-based considerations from these specific districts. And Representative Johnson, the Republicans in Texas are on record as saying, no, we did not draw these districts in 2021 based upon race. So, Chairman, how can you say you didn't draw them on race in 2021? You were defending the districts in court. They send a letter now based upon race. The governor cites the race, but then you go, oh, no, I don't care what the letter says.
Exactly. That's what they do. They lie to get what they want, and they will attack us to get what they want.
Well, that's exactly.
I just want to add.
Go ahead, Cliff. Final comment.
Just real quick, and I know that you've put it in this context and throughout all the coverage that you've been doing on this, and you've been doing an amazing job. But there might be some folks listening, or maybe that'll see this clip and they'll hear all this Texas stuff and the letter from the Texas governor and all that stuff, and they'll be thinking that this is just a Texas issue. And I just want to connect the dots the way that I know that you always do, because we need to be clear. Everybody across this country, particularly every Black person across this country, I don't care what state you live in, this is our issue. This fight is our fight. These legislators that have courageously left the state, you know, there are reps too, right? Because what's at stake is control of this Congress. I don't care what the issue is that you care about. If you're upset about, you know, there's all these students that are going viral because they don't have no longer have the student aid to be able to go to college that's starting this month and next month. If you care about education, if you care about student aid, if you care about the fact that Black unemployment has just reached its highest point since COVID, if you care about any of these issues, if you care about folks being kidnapped off the street by, you know, people in mass, you know, so-called ICE agents or vigilantes or whatever they are that are in mass. If you care about any of these issues, then you need to be caring about this fight. And you need to be caring about these Texas Dems that are fighting this good fight. Everybody needs to be involved in this issue. Everybody needs to be reaching out to their elected officials, especially if you live in one of these states that can use the nuclear option, whether it's California, Illinois, or New York, or New Jersey, or Maryland. Everybody needs to be involved in this fight and make it a call to your elected officials somewhere, because this issue is not just about Texas, right? We want our fam in Texas to get the representation that they deserve. We want that, but we also need to be clear that this affects every one of us.
And Representative Johnson, last point, you got the governor sitting here threatening this little nonsense here. He says this amounts to an abandonment of forfeiture of an elected office. He's saying he's going to have folks arrested. If the House reconvenes at 3 p.m., he's going to call for the Attorney General to remove the missing Democrats from membership of the Texas House. In that opinion, the Attorney General considered whether Texas law allows for determination that the legislator has vacated office. All of this is so bullshit. He literally has no legal ground to stand on. This is nothing but bullshit from Greg Abbott to fire up his little Republican base, and he knows it. And guess what? If he attempts it, y'all are going to court anyway, and the courts are going to sit here and stay it, so you can't remove anybody. So, hey, knock yourself out. Are y'all prepared? Because again, deadline is December. The reality is, y'all got to hold out for 4 months. Are y'all prepared, 51 Democrats, to hold out, to not be in the state for 4 months?
Well, Roland, we are doing everything we can, and yes, we are willing to fight this fight. We want to fight it to the end. We are taking it one session at a time. This session ends, and he could call another session if he wants to, which he probably will. We are in it for the fight. We are not afraid. We are not afraid of the warrants. We were not afraid to leave the state. We are just sick and tired of being stepped on for them to have more power. So we're here. We're here for the fight. We're here for it. Come and take us.
All right, Representative Johnson, I appreciate that. Cliff Albright, appreciate it as well. Thanks a lot.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.